Oh man, do I hate YouTube live streaming. This is probably, I thought I would try this again, but oh jeez. I love starting a stream on such a freaking positive note. Let me get everything set up here. So that the title at least matches what I'm actually streaming. Holy cow. I spent an hour basically doing nothing. I spent an hour talking to dead air because YouTube has such a poor user experience with live streaming now that it's just, I mean, you can sit there and I was wondering why there weren't any views whatsoever. I was wondering why there was no activity in chat. All these things had me wondering, and here we go. This is why. This is why. This is why things weren't working. Because YouTube sucks at live streaming. Let's see. Is it actually there now? Hey, look at that. Really? So if I click on this, okay, there we go. Sucks at live streaming. Oh man, it wants me to rate YouTube in the App Store. I'm not ready for that. All right, so hello out there in the world. I am going to go through this all over again and kind of give an overview of what I'm doing. I don't know if I'll actually do any modeling at this point. I'm just a bit burned out at the moment, mostly because I spent an hour talking about this model and going over it and doing one last thing to kind of button things up toward the end, and I just discovered that much to my chagrin, nothing. So we'll just start at the beginning here. I'll go ahead and show you these two canvases here. So this is Sophia the Third from the Blaster Master game. I'm a child of the 80s. You know, and this game really, gosh, you know, of all the ways I could waste my youth, this game was it. I spent so much time on this game. It's unreal. Loved it. Super difficult game. I might do a let's play of this eventually, but it will be cheaty because, yeah, I played it legitimately back in the day, and let me tell you, you know, multiple restarts from the very beginning because you've only got like 2 or 3 continues after you've exhausted all your lives, and it's painful. But anyway, so this is the vehicle that I've been working on modeling. I've got the wheels done, and I'm going to start working on the chassis, and I'm going to kind of run through this here, and you can kind of see, you know, here's the tire being modeled here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off these canvases so they're not in the way. So this is the very beginning of the tire. You know, kind of step through that. That's half of it there. I think that gets removed, yeah. You know, I'll go ahead and re-show that, and I think the hollow, yeah, so it started out as this solid block of rubber. And so the next step was to basically hollow it out. So now it's like an actual tire, and this actually fits on the rim. And it's when I'm 3D printing it, and I really wish I had a way of setting up a camera so I could show you some of this stuff after I've 3D printed it. But I'm 3D printing it, and the material I'm using for the tire is TPU, and it's about 2 millimeters thick, and the the TPU makes it nice, and at that thickness, it makes it firm yet squishy. So it's got a really nice feel to it. This isn't going to be an RC model. I don't have the engineering chops for that at the moment. So it's going to be basically a visual kind of a like a plastic model type deal, where it's just basically a showpiece to look at. But there's going to be pieces that it'll actually roll on its wheels, and you'll be able to manipulate some of the parts on it, like being able to put the wheels in different configurations and stuff. So anyway, that was this. So this is the tread design. And if you look at, where is it? I think this one here from the back, you can see that it very closely matches what the tires look like on Sophia the Third, and it looks like it might be, grooves, but I think it makes sense to me that they would be out. So anyway, so that's that, and then we go through and we do some modifications to that. So now we've got the circular pattern. So now the tread grip is around the entire tire. Then I created a sketch, and essentially what I did was I don't know why. Let's see, it's just technology sometimes. Okay. Let me go home it again. Okay, so I don't know why that is. It gets really kind of. It's been acting a little bit since this last update. It's been acting a little bit weird as far as navigation is. I don't know if they changed something with that, but what I did here was I basically blended the tread into the sidewall of the tire, and I'll go ahead and show you the regular shaded without the line, so you can kind of see how it blends into the sidewall there. And then there's a mirror, so it blends both ways. So now it looks a lot nicer. It's not, so it's not sticking up at the edges. It actually, feels more like you would expect for a tire tread. I'll go back to the visible edges only view. So continuing on with that, and we're building up the rim here, so you can see kind of the profile that I'm going to use to make the rim. And there's the first half, and then mirrored at some point somewhere. There's a bunch of fillets, and then I mirror. And see, I don't think I have both. Yeah, I have one of the bodies turned off. So you have this. It's mirrored inside of there. I'll do the turn on the section analysis, and you can kind of see. I want to edit that and move that section plane this way a little bit. So yeah, right about there. It's actually centered on the. There we go. So you can kind of see how the tire fits on and everything. The tire fits in the groove, and the tire, it actually pops on fairly easily because it's a soft material. It's a TPU material. But anyway, this goes a little bit further in that there's a. Let's see, I think here it shows. Okay, so I've cut out the boss on this side, and there's a little boss here, and this part fits in, and on the side of it, I don't know if it's there yet. I go ahead and turn off the sectioning and turn off the tire. You can see, you've got this little part here, little tab here that sticks out, and on the other side of the tire, I've already done the cut out that tab as well, and that's going to be extended out. And so it's got kind of that L shape, so you can actually lock it. You push them together and you lock it and you twist it, and it actually locks together so they don't pull apart. So assembly without glue is kind of the goal with that piece. I don't know if I'll do that throughout the entire thing, but for this, yeah, I wanted it to be easily assembled. And the idea originally was that you could slip one side into the tire into the slot on one side and then push the other one in, give it a little twist. But it turns out you can't really twist it once it's on that tire. It grips too strongly onto the rim, so which is a good thing, even though it's not powered. But it turns out that it's just easier just to take those two pieces, twist them together, and then drop the tire on like you would on any other, rim. So go through there, and then there's eventually we're doing a bunch of offsets. There's a ridge there to kind of keep it once you've turned it. And then we do a circular pattern so that you get, that was for the detents, and then the circular pattern here, which gives you this twist lock to hold both sides of the rims on, just 3 of them. So 3 just seemed like a good number to use there. And moving on, I'll go ahead and turn on the other side here so we can see that's the entire rim. There's no hole through it yet or anything like that. And then eventually we build the hubcap. And these hubcaps have a distinctive piece on them, which is this this little groove in here. It almost looks like the top of a flathead screw. And hopefully this thing is actually streaming out this time. So it actually looks like the top of a flathead screw, and and that's kind of how it looks in game. So moving right along, and I'm rushing through this time. Last time I spent a good amount of time just talking about it, but I can't be bothered. And let's see, what in the world? At some point, some of this goes on to the other side. I don't know why the rim isn't showing. Oh, there we go. So some more steps here, and at some point at the second tire, I think this is second wheel and tire is being created here because there's a copy operation in it. When it did the copy, it copied the entire history. So just kind of go through that, and let's see. Yeah, keep going. I'm not sure where we are now. Let me see. Rear. Let me close up the front so we can see what's going on here. So this is the rear rim so far, and we'll just keep stepping through the history to see how this works out. And there's a lot of sketching and stuff like that. And let's see, hubcap. Okay, there we go. So we got the hubcap now. The rear hubcap is different, which is why this rear assembly is completely different. And there's another difference that you'll see later on too. And we put the little barn doors in so that it can flip open when it's in its dive configuration. And here I am. I'm building out the hinge for this, and as soon as this joint is made, now I can actually show you that. So these just sort of flip in and out like that. So in the game, when the vehicle's in its dive configuration and you're running around in the water, these two flaps open up in the wheel, and you can see them. If you'd see the profile of the vehicle like this, and you'd see the little flaps, sticking out of the back of the vehicle. That's supposed to emulate that. So I'll go ahead and revert my positioning on that so I don't mess anything up. So going through, and eventually you'll see that it's flipped out. What I'm doing is if I hide this upper, you'll eventually see I am making mark for the detents that will hold it open and closed so that they're not just flapping. So there's a little bit of retention there. and you'll see, I've got the marks on the sketch. I've got the bottom side, and I think, are these? I think these are, yeah, that's already cut out. So that's all cut out. And you can see the hinge is actually print in place, which is something I've not done before. And it actually, when I did the 3D print to test if this was actually going to work, it actually worked out really kind of well. So continuing on, offsetting some space to give some faces to give clearance. Also, on the tires, I've embossed kind of this, all tires have this embossed branding on the side. So I decided to go ahead and put this labeling on the outside of the tire. So in the later games like Blaster Master 0 and 02, they call these vehicles metal attackers. So that's where that came from. And then of course Nora MA01, which is the thing that shows up on the pause screen for Sophia the Third in the original Blaster Master game. So continuing on, what are we doing here? Where's this extrude? Oh yeah, let me hide the tire here. Tire. Let's see. It's the front. It can get a bit. Tire. Okay. So inside here, let me go back a couple of steps. So this hubcap, if I look at, section analysis here, this hubcap has a little ridge that goes around. You can kind of see it in there. There it is, right there. And the idea with that is that this has a little tab, and these tabs, if we go back here, you can see that these tabs are kind of separated from the body, and they're a little bit thinner, so they're not too thick, so they have some flex to them, and so that is what's used to retain the hubcap. So you can actually pull the hubcap out. You can click it in there, and it's again no adhesives necessary. It's got a very positive click to it, so it holds really nicely. Let me go ahead and turn this sectioning off. So got that done, and then moving further through the history here. So what is going on here? Let's see, that's the tire. Okay, so front rim assembly, hubcap, frame, upper lower. I think this is, yeah, this is all the other. I think this is for the rear side of it. Let's see. No, that's the rear hubcap. That's front. Let's see. We'll hide the front for now. Okay. Left or right? I'm losing it. Okay, where are these holes going? Oh, okay, that's the screw hole. So yeah. So yeah. Now I've bored the hole through it there. So capturing some positioning. Let's revolve. What is this? Okay, that's okay. So this is now we're doing new tire. There's the new tire. Moving forward. Kind of the same deal. And you'll see the reason why I am recreating the tire here. So there's the lettering on this tire. And just keep going. Sorry, my voice is just all of a sudden really crackly. Okay, let's see. I'll go ahead and okay, so that's the right tire, left tire, not quite there yet. Okay, so we continue. And let's see, front rim. Okay, let's get that front rim on. Okay, so now we've got the 4 tires, and if you notice, and this you may have noticed it in the canvas of the Sophia the Third from behind. If you look at the canvas, of course the tires are going right through that at the moment, but you can see it on this sprite better. See how the tread pattern is actually mirrored. Now, if I mirrored the tire in its entirety over, the wording would be backwards. So the wording actually had to be rotated around and reapplied 180 degrees and then reapplied on this side. So that's why I didn't directly mirror the tires, so the wording actually looks right on it, as well as the tread matching up with the actual thing. And so continuing, we will it's more a lot of getting things jointed, capturing positions, got the screws, getting those with revolute joints on the wheels themselves, and more and more and more component organization there, and getting the hubcaps on the other side. And I think now we're doing the little hub in here, so let me go back to let's see, wheel, front right. So this is the hub as it's being built here, and there's a little boss for the screw to go into, and then the screw, and I tapered it a little bit, give it a little bit of draft just to give it a little bit more strength on the base. So keep going with that, and eventually this thing is basically just these four little fin shapes come out. So it's strong yet light, and then a little boss for the screw. And there's a self tapper that will go into this, and part of that will get cut off at some point, some fillets, and some more adjustment here, and then I've got a mirror plane, getting the hubcaps all taken care of, and there's an extrude there, but I don't see what it extruded. Okay, let me go back. So we missed something. Okay, so right here, you can see I've taken half of that boss away so that there is a space for the next part, which is this arm, and there's two extrusions to make this arm. One is the basic shape, and then the other one makes the cutout for that so that it lines up and attaches to that, and there will be a screw that actually holds that together, and widening the hole so it doesn't have to drill the threads through that, because I don't want both of them to be threaded. I just want this side to be threaded. And all the screws I'm using are M3. And here we go again with frustratingly slow. I don't know why it does this. Let me rehome again, and then see, now I can rehome, zoom in, and I'm fine. But for some reason it gets really slow all of a sudden. So just are the same, these extrudes. Okay, so on this side I'm actually adding physical limits to this joint, and I don't know if I've got it set. Yeah, so I've got the joint limited in software, but I'm adding a couple of pieces here, like this block here, to keep it from going any further up. And then there's a block that you will see, it's actually already kind of there, but you can see that cuts in, so I need to cut out a piece there, which is what that next extrude does, is it cuts that piece out, so that just slots right in there, and that keeps it with a 90-degree range of motion. So there's that. And so more joints. I'm going to go ahead and turn back on that wheel assembly there. So that's one part of the chassis, and then using a circular pattern, I duplicate that over to this side and do some more joint setup, and I'm grounding things again. And then I move things over to the back and start putting things together in the back. Very similar process here, making sure everything's jointed up. I did have a joint that wasn't made in the back that I wound up having to remake. So then this piece here is very similar to these arms in that it allows the vertical rotation of the wheel so that it can be pointed down like when the vehicle's in hover position. And this is basically has the same, kind of range limits. Just kind of making this piece out. And so this top piece here is the horizontal rotation, which will allow the wheel to swing back. So it looks like it's in the dive configuration. So at some point I add joints. There we go. There's one joint, there's another joint. And we got all these joints set up and everything, and there were a couple of extrudes on this side, this pin here. I think if I drive this joint here, yeah. So this, oops, yeah. So at 0. This pin here will prevent it from going any further forward, but this needs to be modified, and you'll see how it gets modified. So we modify it, and then you can see in this point we capture position with the turn back, so we can get the other limit on it. So that limits that from going too far the other way around, and we move it back. So now the limits, if I click on this again, and now you can see that where that physical limit is, keeps it from so that one little tab that sticks out there is what keeps that from spinning too far. I'll go ahead and undo that. And so that was the point that I was at before I started the last stream, because YouTube decided not to actually stream for me. So this is what I did during that live stream that was never actually live. So I made a mirror plane here, and I thought I was going to just rotate this around. Well, it turns out that wasn't what I actually wanted to do. So you can see here, whereas the other one, it's rotated, because there's no directionality front or back. So you can do that, and that's just fine. But on the back here, you actually have to have these swinging toward the back. And so I had to make sure that it wasn't a rotation, it was the actual mirror. So I got that mirrored, and then added the all the necessary joints and grounded this piece. So yeah, you can grab the wheel here, you can grab this little thing, and these will now flip back, as you can see. Yeah, I'll go ahead and revert that, and they will also flip down. Oops, grab the, see, can I make it flip down, please? No? Oh. Revert. I'm gonna have to drive that joint by myself. So, yeah, you can make it flip down. See, can I actually grab this one and make it flip down? No. See, so, now they can all flip down or flip toward the back. And that's where I was when I thought I was actually streaming, but I wasn't actually streaming. So, sorry for the kind of hurried, rapid pace fly-through of everything, but so if you enjoy this thing, please let me know. Leave a like, post something in the comments. Let me know if you like this kind of thing, because this is a little bit of a departure from my usual gaming streams. I might actually play Blaster Master on stream one of these days. Though if I do, yeah, it's going to be a little bit cheated. I'm going to use save states because, oh my gosh, that game is wicked difficult. I beat it legitimately way back in the day when I was a kid, but I'm not going to do that anymore. Nope. Um, but yeah, so this is where things are right now. Um, so eventually, I'm going to get the backbone here. There's going to be a set of arms that are going to kind of come out, come up toward the middle, and those will allow for the wheels to swing down and up. Um, I'm thinking about maybe making a mechanism that keeps the front and rear set um, at the same angle, same degree, by using something like a set of teeth to basically it would be like a partial gear that would go in this area that would allow them to, so when I pull down on one it pulls down on the other, but I don't know. That's a little bit more involved. I might just leave it so that the front and the back are separate, so if somebody's picking up the model and they're playing with it and they manipulate it, they can make it so the body points up or down. I don't know. Let's see, there's also a consideration on the rear of the vehicle. I think that's this one. When these back wheels are in their dive position, I have to be careful about the top exhaust pipe. I don't think will be a problem. Let me do it orthogonal. Now the top pipe won't be a problem, but this bottom pipe, I'm gonna have to give that some thought because I think that might interfere a bit. I don't know, maybe there's a way I can get around that. It's not going to interfere by much, and I might just be able to fudge the sizing of the pipes a little bit so that they don't interfere. And then as things go on, I'll be kind of doing the bit of stuff with, making the axles and stuff. So it actually looks like it has that little axle that shows up in the back, and then the back of this thing, and all the little gadgety type things here, and then building the body on top of it, which the body is got good clearance between the wheels and itself, so that's good. I think the real challenge is going to be just figuring out how I'm going to finagle those tailpipes so that they look like they make sense, but they don't get in the way of that wheel when it's folded back. So that's going to be some extra thought. And this isn't going to be a remote control vehicle by any means. Like I said, the mechanics of that is, I think, probably a little too involved for what I'm doing and my level of skill at the moment. But it'll be a pretty cool model that you can pick up and kind of play around with. But man, it'd be so cool because I've seen I know that there's a company out there that makes the little RC cars that can run up walls in the ceiling. It would be so cool to have like wall 1, wall 2, ability on this RC car, and the hover ability too, and then some kind of water propulsion system. Like I would imagine that the wheel design would change a little bit in the back, so that where a turbine and the wheel could spin and it would draw the water through and actually give it a little jet of water to push it through the water. That could possibly work. Those barn doors open to reveal the turbine, and then it just spins the water. It would be really cool to see all of that. The practicality of doing all of that, I don't know. I mean, that would take a lot of work. I think this build will fit kind of in two hands. It's gonna be you can kind of see here if I look at the from the front of this wheel to the back of this wheel. What's the length? 175 millimeters. So vehicle's probably going to be about 20 centimeters total length. It's not going to be big. It would have to be a lot bigger if I were going to put all the mechanics in it, and I don't have a 3D printer big enough to tackle a much bigger design than that. Though I could like panelize things and glue panels together, and yeah, that it gets all really, really messy. But it would be kind of fun to see this thing actually work. The other thing is, I might at some point add a steering system to this, maybe. It would be like a four-wheel steering so that it kind of bends, so both wheels would bend to steer it. I don't know, again, it's one of those things where you can just, hand manipulate the moving parts. You can see it all kind of working together. I think for this iteration of it, the wheels are going to be fixed in place. And even if, if I did it RC, there's ways to get around. The wheels are fixed in place. How are you going to steer? Well, you can actually run one set of wheels in one direction and the other set of wheels in another direction, and it'll turn it. Or just differentiate the speeds that the wheels are turning to give it a more gentle turn. You don't actually have to. Of course, that's terrible on your tires. So, do things like that in real life. But, for an RC kind of thing, it would be kind of cool. But, yeah, that's thinking beyond what my plans are for this. Like I said, I just want a neat little model that you can, pick up and manipulate and fool around with. So that's essentially what this is. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please leave a comment, like the video, and let me know. Should I do more things like this, or should I stick to gaming? Or yeah, it's you're in control. You get to help me decide if I should continue showing you this project. And if you do, then I'll do my best to make sure that I live stream when I go to work on it. So that's kind of the introduction to this, and yeah, that's all I have for today. So bye.